Captain Jake Miller stood on the bridge of the human ship Defiance and stared at the message on his screen. The words were simple, but the meaning made his stomach tight. 3 months ago, the peaceful Zelthari people had sent out a cry for help. Their mining colony on a distant planet was under attack. The Vrak Empire had surrounded them with 17 huge warships. No food could get in. No people could get out. The Zelthari were slowly dying. Jake looked around his bridge. His crew was good, but his ship was small. The Defiance was built for exploration, not war. It had some weapons, but nothing like what the Vrak carried. Dr. Lisa Hayes sat at her science station, reading reports about the Zelthari. She was Earth's best expert on alien life. Commander Rick Stone checked his weapon systems for the 10th time that day. He was nervous, and Jake could not blame him. "Captain Miller," came a voice from behind him. Jake turned to see Ambassador Helen Park walking onto the bridge. She represented Earth at the big Galactic Council meetings. Her face looked worried. "I just got word from the Council. They are still talking about what to do." Jake almost laughed, but it was not funny. "Still talking? It has been 3 months. The Council has rules," Helen said. "First they debate for 6 months. Then they try economic pressure. If that fails, they might send peacekeepers. But only if 2/3 of all species agree." Dr. Hayes looked up from her station. "Captain, I am reading the Zelthari transmissions. Their food supplies are almost gone. They have maybe 2 weeks left." Jake felt anger rise in his chest. While the Galactic Council followed their slow rules, real people were starving. He had joined the human space fleet to help people, not to watch them die while politicians talked. "Sir," Commander Stone said, "we have 3 alien observers on board. They are here to watch how humans handle first contact situations. They keep asking me about our battle plans." Jake nodded. "When humanity joined the Galactic Council last year, they had to accept observers on their ships. The aliens wanted to make sure humans followed proper procedures. The observers were nice enough, but they did not understand humans very well. The ship's communication system beeped. "Captain Miller, you have a priority message from Earth Command." Jake walked to his command chair and pressed a button. The message was short and came from Admiral Wilson back on Earth. Jake read it twice to make sure he understood. "Defiance, you are ordered to proceed to Kepler 442b immediately. Assess the situation with the Zelthari colony. Eliminate the Vrak threat. Use all necessary force. Time is critical. Earth Command out." Jake stared at the message. It was so different from what the Galactic Council wanted. No months of debate, no economic pressure. Just go and fix the problem. "Captain," Dr. Hayes said, "the alien observers want to speak with you." 3 beings walked onto the bridge. The first was tall and thin with blue skin. He was from a species called the Methodians. They were known for being very careful and logical. The second observer had scales and big eyes. She was from the Contemplative Union. Her people thought about problems for years before acting. The third observer looked almost human, except for his silver skin. He was from the Diplomatic Corps. Captain Miller, the blue-skinned Methodian, said, "We have reviewed your orders from Earth Command. We must express concern about your intended actions." "What concerns you?" Jake asked. "The Galactic Council protocols are very clear," the scaled observer said. "Military action cannot be taken without proper diplomatic procedures. You must first attempt negotiation with the Vrak Empire." The silver-skinned observer nodded. "Captain, your species is new to galactic politics. The Vrak Empire is old and powerful. They have been conquering systems for thousands of years. They understand only strength and proper military formations." Jake looked at his crew. Dr. Hayes was shaking her head. Commander Stone was checking his weapons again. Ambassador Park looked like she wanted to say something, but stayed quiet. How long do negotiations usually take? Jake asked. With the Vrak, at least 18 months, the Methodian said. They are very formal in their communications. 18 months, Jake repeated. The Zelthari will be dead in 2 weeks. That is unfortunate, the Scaled Observer said, but proper procedures must be followed. The galaxy has maintained peace for centuries by following these rules. Jake felt something cold settle in his stomach. He had read about the galactic peace. It was true that big wars were rare, but small wars happened all the time. Species got conquered while the council debated. People died while diplomats talked. The peace was only for those strong enough to defend themselves. Commander Stone, Jake said, set course for Kepler 442b, maximum speed. Aye, Captain. The 3 observers looked shocked. Captain Miller, the Methodian said, you cannot simply ignore council protocols. I am not ignoring them, Jake said. I am following Earth protocols. But your ship is severely outmatched, the silver-skinned observer said. The Vrak fleet has 17 dreadnoughts. Each one is larger and more powerful than your vessel. This is military suicide. Dr. Hayes stood up from her station. Maybe you do not understand humans very well, she said to the observers. We do not like bullies. We especially do not like bullies who hurt innocent people. This is not about likes and dislikes, the Scaled Observer said. This is about military reality. Your ship cannot defeat 17 Vrak dreadnoughts. Commander. Stone turned from his weapons station. Maybe not in a fair fight, he said with a grin. Good thing humans do not believe in fair fights. Jake opened a communication channel to Earth Command. The transmission would take several minutes to reach Earth, but he wanted his orders on record. Earth Command, this is Captain Miller aboard the Defiance. We are approaching the Vrak blockade of the Zelthari colony. Enemy force consists of 17 heavy dreadnoughts in standard battle formation. Our single cruiser is outgunned approximately 50-1, requesting permission to engage. The alien observers looked at each other with what Jake assumed was confusion. They whispered in their own languages. Jake could not understand the words, but the tone was clear. They thought humans were crazy. The response from Earth Command came faster than expected. Admiral Wilson's voice was calm and clear over the speakers. Captain Miller, this is Earth Command. We understand the tactical situation. Your orders remain unchanged. Light them up, Captain. Show them what humans do to bullies. Earth Command out. Jake smiled for the first time in days. Ambassador Park looked worried, but she was nodding. Dr. Hayes was pulling up tactical data on the Vrak ships. Commander Stone was practically bouncing in his chair as he prepared weapon systems. Observers, Jake said to the 3 aliens. You wanted to see how humans handle first contact situations. You are about to get a very good lesson. The Defiance dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of the Kepler 442b system. On the main screen, Jake could see the Vrak fleet. 17 massive ships formed a perfect sphere around the small planet. Each ship was dark gray with sharp angles. They looked like flying weapons, which Jake supposed they were. Captain, Dr. Hayes said, I am detecting the Zelthari colony on the planet's surface. Life signs are weak, but they are still alive. Commander Stone, are we in weapons range? Not yet, sir. The Vrak ships are maintaining standard blockade distance. We need to get closer. Jake looked at the alien observers. They were staring at the tactical display with what he thought might be fear. Captain Miller, the Methodian said quietly, it is not too late to withdraw and request council intervention. Jake shook his head. 3 months ago, it was not too late. 2 months ago, it was not too late. Today, people are dying while we talk. That makes it too late for everything except action. He pressed the ship-wide communication button. All hands, this is the captain. We are about to engage a superior Enemy forced to protect innocent people. I know the odds are bad. I know this is dangerous. But this is why we are here. This is what humans do. Battle stations. The bridge lights dimmed to combat status. Warning sirens echoed through the ship. Jake could feel the Defiance change course toward the Vrak fleet. Incoming transmission from the Vrak fleet, the communications officer announced. Put it on screen. A Vrak commander appeared on the main viewer. He had gray skin, red eyes, and scars across his face. When he spoke, his voice was deep and threatening. Unknown. Vessel, you are entering a restricted military zone. Identify yourself and state your business or be destroyed. Jake stood up from his command chair. This is Captain Jake Miller of the Earthship Defiance. We are here to end your blockade of the Zelthari colony. The Vrak commander's red eyes widened slightly. Humans, we have heard of your species. You are new to this galaxy. One small ship cannot challenge the might of the Vrak Empire. Withdraw now or face annihilation. Counter offer, Jake said. You withdraw now and we will not have to embarrass you in front of the whole galaxy. The alien observers made small choking sounds. The Vrak commander's face turned darker. Foolish humans. You will learn respect for Vrak power. All ships, target the human vessel. Prepare to fire. The transmission ended. On the tactical display, Jake could see the 17 Vrak dreadnoughts turning toward the Defiance. Their weapons were charging. Well, Jake said to his crew, I guess diplomacy is officially over. The 17 Vrak dreadnoughts moved into attack formation. Each ship was 3 times larger than the Defiance. Their weapons glowed with deadly energy. On the bridge of the human ship, the 3 alien observers watched in horror. Captain Miller. The blue-skinned Methodian said, You must reconsider. The Vrak are positioning for a standard fleet engagement. Your single ship cannot survive their coordinated attack patterns. Captain Jake Miller ignored the observer. He was studying the tactical display with Commander Rick Stone and Lieutenant Ben Clark, his weapons specialist. Ben was young, but he understood human military thinking better than most. Ben, what do you see when you look at their formation? Jake asked. Ben grinned. I see 17 big targets flying in a perfect pattern. They are so worried about looking impressive that they forgot about staying alive. Exactly, Jake said. Rick, are our industrial fabricators online? Yes, sir. All 3 units are operational. The scaled observer from the Contemplative Union stepped forward. Captain, what are industrial fabricators used for in combat? They are not, the silver-skinned observer answered. Industrial fabricators are for making tools and spare parts. They have no military application. Dr. Lisa Hayes looked up from her science station. You really do not understand humans, do you? On the main screen, the Vrak fleet finished their formation. It was beautiful in a deadly way. The ships formed 3 perfect rings around the planet. Their weapons all pointed toward the Defiance. It was the kind of formation that had conquered hundreds of worlds. Incoming transmission from the Vrak fleet commander, the communications officer announced. The scarred Vrak commander appeared on screen again. Human vessel, this is your final warning. Our fleet is in attack position. Surrender now or be destroyed. Jake stood up. Commander, I have a question for you. In all your centuries of conquest, have you ever fought an enemy that did not follow your rules? The Vrak commander looked confused. Rules of warfare are universal. All civilized species understand proper military formations and tactics. That is your first mistake, Jake said. Assuming we are civilized. He cut the transmission and turned to his crew. Ben, how long do you need? Give me 10 minutes, Captain. The fabricators are already working. The alien observers looked at each other. Captain Miller, the Methodian said, what are your fabricators making? Party favors, Ben answered from his weapon station. Jake opened a ship-wide communication channel. All hands, this is the captain. We are about to show the galaxy what happens when you threaten innocent people in front of humans. Lieutenant Clark has prepared something special for our Vrak friends. Stand by for fireworks. In the Defiance's Industrial Bay, 3 fabrication units worked at maximum speed. They were not making tools or spare parts. They were making weapons. Thousands of small devices poured out of the machines. Each one was crude but effective. Nuclear mines with basic propulsion systems and simple targeting computers. Captain, Dr. Hayes said, I am monitoring Vrak communications. They are discussing our ship specifications. They cannot understand why we have not opened fire with conventional weapons. Let them wonder, Jake said. Ben, status report. Almost. Ready, sir. The mines are armed and programmed. I have set them to look like space debris until they reach target proximity. The Vrak fleet maintained their perfect formation. Their commanders were probably confused by the human delay. In galactic warfare, ships usually fired immediately when in range. The longer the Defiance waited, the more advantage the Vrak gained. Sir, the communications officer said, the Zelthari colony is transmitting. They want to know if we are here. To help them, Jake took the transmission. On screen appeared a thin alien with large eyes and pale skin. She looked tired and scared. I am Zara, leader of this colony, she said. Are you really here to fight the Vrak? Your ship is so small. Ma'am, Jake said, size does not matter when you are fighting bullies. We are going to get you out of this. But how? The Vrak have been here for months. No one has been able to break their blockade. Jake smiled. That is because no one else is human. Captain, Ben announced. All systems ready. I have 4,000 mining charges prepared for deployment. The alien observers stared at Ben. 4,000? The scaled observer whispered, that is impossible. Your ship could not carry that many weapons. We did not carry them, Ben explained. We made them, right here, right now. Made them from. What? The silver-skinned observer asked. Spare parts, emergency supplies, and things we do not need anymore, Ben said. Humans are very good at making weapons out of anything. Jake looked at the tactical display one more time. The Vrak ships were still in their perfect formation. They were waiting for the Defiance to attack so they could demonstrate their superior firepower. Ben, are the mines ready? Yes, sir. They are programmed to move slowly and look like debris. The Vrak sensors should ignore them until it is too late. All right then, Jake said. Light them up. Ben pressed a button on his console. From the Defiance, thousands of small objects shot out in all directions. They moved slowly and tumbled like broken pieces of metal. To the Vrak sensors, they looked like garbage floating in space. The alien observers watched the tactical display. In confusion, Captain Miller, the Methodian, said, your weapons appear to be malfunctioning. The projectiles are moving too slowly and in random directions. Are they? Jake asked. On the main screen, the Vrak fleet remained in formation. Their commander was probably laughing at the pathetic human attack. The small objects drifted toward the 17 dreadnoughts like harmless debris. Sir, Dr. Hayes said, Vrak are not taking evasive action. They do not recognize the threat. Of course they do not, Jake said. They have never seen anything like this before. The mines continued their slow drift toward the Vrak fleet. Some passed between ships. Others floated above and below the formation. A few seemed to miss completely and drifted past the fleet into empty space. Captain, the scaled observer said, your attack has failed. The Vrak ships are undamaged. Jake looked at his watch. Ben, how much longer? 30 seconds, sir. The Vrak commander appeared on screen again. His scarred face showed amusement. Pathetic humans. Is that the best your species can do? Random. Debris? Our shields did not even activate. Commander, Jake said, you are about to learn something important about humans. We do not fight fair, we fight smart. 10 seconds, Ben announced. Jake counted down in his head. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Fire. Ben pressed another button. Across the Vrak fleet, 4,000 nuclear mines exploded at exactly the same moment. The space around the planet turned white with nuclear fire. The perfect Vrak formation disappeared in a cloud of plasma and radiation. When the light faded, only 3 of the 17 dreadnoughts were still moving. The others were either destroyed or disabled. The beautiful formation was gone. In its place was a field of wreckage and floating debris. The alien observers stared at the main screen in shock. Their mouths hung open. They could not speak. Damage report, Jake ordered. 14 Vrak ships destroyed, Dr. Hayes announced. 2 heavily damaged and drifting. 1 is trying to retreat, but their engines are failing. Time from engagement. Start to enemy fleet elimination? 17 minutes, sir. Jake nodded. Not bad. Ben, send a message to the surviving Vrak ships. Yes, sir. Channel open. Attention Vrak vessels. This is Captain Miller of the Defiance. Your blockade is broken. You have 10 minutes to collect your survivors and leave this system. If you are still here in 11 minutes, we will assume you want to continue fighting. There was silence for a moment. Then a weak transmission came from one of the damaged Vrak ships. It was not the original commander. This voice sounded young and scared. Human vessel, this is Acting Commander Keksov. The Vrak fleet. Our war commander is dead. Most of our ships are destroyed. We do not understand what happened. Your vessel is small and weak, yet you destroyed our entire formation. Son, Jake said, that is what happens when you pick a fight with humans. We do not play by your rules. What are you? The young Vrak officer asked. Your ship has inferior weapons and armor. Our fleet was superior in every way. How did you defeat us? Jake looked around his bridge. His crew was smiling. The alien observers were still in shock. Dr. Hayes was already scanning the planet to check on the Zalthari colonists. We are human, Jake said to the Vrak officer. We do not follow your specifications. We make our own rules. And rule number 1 is simple. If you threaten innocent people, we will stop you. It does not matter how big you are or how many ships you have. This is impossible, the Vrak officer whispered. No, Jake said. This is Tuesday. Now get out of our system before we decide to finish the job. The remaining Vrak ships began to move away from the planet. Their retreat was not the organized withdrawal of a professional military force. It was the panicked flight of survivors who had seen something they could not understand. Captain, Dr. Hayes announced, I am getting signals from the Zalthari colony. They are cheering. Their life signs are getting stronger already. Jake sat back in his command chair. Open a channel to the colony. Zara appeared on screen again. But now she was smiling and tears ran down her face. Captain Miller, is it over? Are the Vrak really gone? Yes, ma'am. The blockade is broken. Supply ships can reach you now. How did you do it? You're she. The emergency session of the Galactic Council had been going on for 6 hours. Representatives from 47 different species sat in the Great Chamber on Nexus Station. They were all talking about the same thing. What the humans had done. At Kepler-442b. High, Counselor Vex stood at the center of the chamber. He was tall and thin with purple skin and 4 arms. His species had been part of the Council for over 2,000 years. They were known for being calm and logical. Today, Vex did not look calm. Order, he called out. We must have order in this chamber. The noise continued. Representatives were arguing in dozens of different languages. Some were angry, some were scared. All of them were confused. The human military action violates every principle of civilized warfare, shouted a delegate from the refined coalition. They destroyed an entire fleet in 17 minutes. 17 minutes. Proper military engagements should last months. It was not warfare, said another representative. It was chaos. Pure chaos with weapons. High Counselor Vex raised all 4 arms for silence. Slowly, the chamber quieted down. We are here to discuss the human incident. General Sam Davis from Earth has requested permission to address this council. I call General Davis to speak. A door opened at the back of the chamber. General Davis walked down the long aisle toward the speaking platform. He was a big man with gray hair and calm eyes. He wore a simple military uniform. As he walked, every representative in the chamber stared at him. General Davis reached the platform and looked around the chamber. Counselors, he said, I understand. You have questions about human military operations. Questions? High Counselor Vex asked. General Davis, your species has been part of this council for less than 2 years. In that time, you have destroyed one of the most powerful fleets in the galaxy. We need more than questions answered. General Davis nodded. What would you like to know? A representative from the Academic Assembly stood up. She had blue scales and large black eyes. General, we have studied the battle records from Kepler 442b. Your ship was outnumbered 17-1. Your weapons were inferior. Your armor was weaker. Yet you achieved total victory in minutes. How is this possible? We used better tactics, General Davis said simply. Better tactics? The scaled representative looked confused. General, the Vrak Empire has been conquering systems for 3,000 years. Their military formations are studied in academies across the galaxy. How can you call crude nuclear mines better tactics? General Davis smiled. Because they worked. The chamber erupted in noise again. Representatives were shouting questions and arguments. High Counselor Vex called for order several times before the room was quiet enough for General Davis to continue. Perhaps, Vex said, you could explain human military philosophy to this council. General Davis walked to a large display screen. I can do better than explain it. I can show it. He pressed a button on a small device. The screen lit up with a simple diagram. It showed 3 boxes connected by arrows. The first box said, Identify problem. An arrow pointed to the second box which said, Apply maximum force. Another arrow pointed to the third box which said, Problem solved. The chamber was completely silent. Every representative stared at the screen. That is it. Asked a delegate from the Contemplative Union, That is your entire military strategy? Yes, General Davis said. But where is the negotiation phase? Asked another representative, Where is the economic pressure? Where are the peace talks? We skip those parts, General Davis said. They take too long. A representative from the diplomatic corps stood up. He looked almost human except for his silver skin. General Davis, civilized species do not skip diplomatic solutions. We have maintained peace in this galaxy for over 1,000 years by following proper procedures. Have you? General Davis asked. Because from what I read, there are about 50 active conflicts happening right now. Species are being conquered while you spend months debating. People are dying while you follow procedures. Those are minor conflicts, High Counselor Vex said. Major wars between great powers have been prevented by Council protocols. Major wars, yes, General Davis agreed. But what about all the small wars? What about species like the Zelthari who were being starved to death while you spent 3 months talking about maybe doing something? The chamber was quiet again. Several representatives looked uncomfortable. A new voice spoke from the back of the chamber. The human speaks truth. Everyone turned to see who had spoken. A figure in dark robes walked down the aisle. When he reached the light, the representatives could see he was Vrak. His gray skin was scarred, and one arm was in a medical support device. "I am Diplomat Tran of the Vrak Empire," he said. "I was aboard one of the ships that survived the human attack." "Hi." Counselor Vex looked surprised. "Diplomat Tran, your empire was not invited to this session." "I invited myself," Tran said. "The council needs to hear what I have to say about the humans." He turned to face General Davis. "General, my species has conquered over 200 systems. We have defeated every military formation known to galactic warfare. Our tactics are perfect. Our formations are flawless. Our strategy is without error." "And yet," General Davis said, "you lost." "Yes," Tran said quietly. "We lost because you do not fight like civilized beings. You fight like ... like humans." General Davis finished. "Yes, like humans." Tran looked around the chamber. "Counselors, you need to understand what happened at Kepler 442b. The human ship should have been destroyed in the first minute of combat. Their weapons were weak. Their armor was thin. By every measure we understand, they were helpless." "But they were not helpless," High Counselor Vex said. "No, they were not helpless because they do not follow our measures." Tran pointed at General Davis. "This human turned industrial equipment into weapons in minutes. He created 4,000 nuclear devices while we watched. He deployed them like debris so our sensors ignored them. Then he detonated them all at once." "Crude tactics," said the representative from the academic assembly. "Effective tactics," Tran corrected. "In 3,000 years of conquest, my species has never seen anything like it. We prepare for ship-to-ship combat. We prepare for boarding actions. We prepare for siege warfare. We do not prepare for enemies who manufacture weapons during battle." Professor Kate Wong walked onto the speaking platform next to General Davis. She was a small woman with black hair and glasses. "Counselors, I am Professor Wong from Earth Military Academy. I study the history of human warfare. Perhaps I can help explain why humans fight differently." "Please do," High Counselor Vex said. Professor Wong activated the display screen. It showed images of Earth throughout history. Humans evolved on a planet that tried to kill them every day. Predators, diseases, natural disasters, climate changes. For millions of years, survival meant adapting to any threat immediately. The screen showed pictures of human weapons throughout history: stone axes, bronze swords, gunpowder cannons, nuclear missiles. Most species in this galaxy had millions of years to develop slowly, Professor Wong continued. Humans went from throwing rocks to splitting atoms in just 10,000 years. We did not have time for slow development. We had to innovate or die. "That explains technological development," said the scaled representative. "It does not explain your military doctrine, does it not?" Professor Wong asked. "Humans learned that in a crisis, the best solution is the fastest solution. While you spend months planning the perfect attack, we eliminate the threat and move on to the next problem." A representative from the Peaceful Alliance stood up. "Professor Wong, that philosophy leads to constant warfare. How can you build a stable civilization with such an approach?" "By ending threats quickly instead of letting them grow," General Davis answered. The Vrak had been threatening the Zelthari for months. Every day that passed, more Zelthari died. "We ended the threat in 17 minutes. How is that worse than your method?" The chamber erupted in arguments again. Some representatives were shouting about human barbarism. Others were asking questions about human tactics. A few looked thoughtful, as if they were considering new possibilities. High Counselor Vex finally restored order. "General Davis, what you describe sounds like organized chaos. How can military forces operate without proper procedures and formations?" General Davis looked around the chamber. "Counselor Vex, may I ask you a question?" "Proceed." "How many Galactic Council peacekeeping missions have been successful in the last century?" Vex paused. That depends on how you define success. I define success as stopping the fighting and protecting innocent people. Vex was quiet for a long moment, perhaps 30%. 30%, General Davis repeated. So 70% of your careful, proper, civilized military actions fail to protect the people they are supposed to help. Military operations are complex, Vex said defensively. There are political considerations, diplomatic ramifications, economic factors, all of which take time, General Davis said. Time that innocent people do not have. Diplomat Tran spoke again. Counselors, the general speaks truth. While you debate politics, people die. The humans may be uncivilized, but they save lives. By destroying entire fleets, the representative from the refined coalition protested. Yes, Tran said simply. Better to destroy a fleet of conquerors than to let them destroy a planet of farm. 6 months after the battle at Kepler 442b, Admiral Tony Lee stood in his office aboard Earth's newest military station. Through the large window, he could see dozens of ships from different species. They were all here for the same reason. They wanted to learn how humans fought. The news of Captain Miller's victory had spread across the galaxy faster than anyone expected. The story grew with each telling. One human ship destroying 17 Vrak dreadnoughts in 17 minutes. It sounded impossible, but the battle records proved it was true. Admiral Lee's assistant, Commander Amy Gold, walked into the office carrying a data pad. Sir, we have 3 more requests for military advisors today. The Crystalline Federation wants help with their border dispute. The Mining Guild is asking for protection from pirates. And the Zelthari want to hire human mercenaries. Mercenaries? Admiral Lee asked. Amy, we are not mercenaries. We are military advisors. Try telling that to the galaxy, Amy said. Half the species out there think humans are the best warriors in the universe. The other half think we are dangerous lunatics who should be avoided. Admiral Lee laughed. Maybe they are both right. A communication signal came through on his desk. Admiral Lee, you have a priority message from Captain Joe Black on Nexus Station. Put him through. Captain Black's face appeared on the screen. He was a thin man with dark hair and tired eyes. Admiral, we have a situation here. The Zenka delegation is getting impatient. They have been waiting 3 days for our answer. What exactly are the Zenka asking for? They want us to end their war with the Quartz Federation. Apparently, they have been fighting for over a century. Territorial dispute over some mining systems. Admiral Lee sighed. The Zenka were an insectoid species known for their hive mind intelligence. They were logical, efficient, and completely unable to understand creative tactics. What kind of war are we talking about? Traditional galactic warfare, Captain Black said. Beautiful geometric formations. Artistic battle patterns. Very pretty, very ineffective. Thousands of ships dancing around each other for decades without any real damage. And the Zenka want us to change that? They want us to win it for them. In their words, they are tired of wasting time on elegant defeat. Commander Gold looked at the Admiral. Sir, this could be our chance to really demonstrate human military doctrine on a large scale. Admiral Lee thought for a moment. The Human Military Advisory Corps had been his idea. Earth Command approved it after seeing how effective Captain Miller had been. The goal was to help other species solve their problems quickly and efficiently. Captain Black, tell the Zenka we will take the job. But we do it our way. Understood, sir. What about the Galactic Council? They are not happy about humans interfering in established conflicts. The Galactic Council has had a century to solve this problem, Admiral Lee said. If they could fix it, they would have done it already. 3 weeks later, Captain Black stood on the bridge of the Zenka hive ship Convergence. The ship was strange even by alien standards. Everything was built for efficiency. No decorations, no comfortable furniture, just functional spaces designed. By logical minds, Zenka Worker Prime approached. Captain Black. Worker Prime looked like a giant ant with 4 arms and compound eyes. When he spoke, his voice buzzed like an insect. Human Captain Black, we have studied your species' battle records. Your tactics are unusual. That is one way to put it, Captain Black said. We do not understand how chaos can be more effective than order. Our hive mind allows perfect coordination. Our battle formations are mathematically optimal. Yet we cannot defeat the Quartz Federation. Captain Black looked at the tactical display. It showed the current battle zone between Zenka and Quartz forces. Hundreds of ships from both sides moved in complex patterns. It looked more like a dance than a war. Worker Prime, how long has your current battle been going on? 47 days. 47 days of continuous fighting? Yes. The Quartz Federation deployed their harmonic battle symphony formation. We responded with our geometric perfection array. Both formations are beautiful and tactically sound. Captain Black shook his head. And in 47 days, how many enemy ships have you destroyed? Worker Prime paused. Destroyed? None, that would be wasteful. We have damaged 17 Quartz vessels and forced them to retreat for repairs. Worker Prime, let me explain something about human warfare. We do not try to be beautiful. We do not try to be elegant. We try to win as quickly as possible. But how can chaos defeat perfection? Because chaos is unpredictable. Your enemies cannot prepare for something they cannot understand. Captain. Black walked to the communications station. Open a channel to all Zenka ships in the battle zone. Channel open, Worker Prime said. Attention all Zenka vessels. This is Captain Black of the Human Advisory Corps. You are to immediately cease current battle formations and implement Emergency Dispersal Pattern 7. Across the tactical display, hundreds of Zenka ships suddenly scattered in all directions. The perfect geometric formations broke apart into what looked like random movement. Human Captain Black, Worker Prime said in alarm, you have destroyed our battle coordination. The Quartz Federation will think we are retreating. Good, Captain. Black said, let them think that. On the display, the Quartz Federation ships began to advance. Their crystal formations glowed with beautiful colors as they moved to take advantage of what they thought was Zenka confusion. Worker Prime, how many antimatter charges do your ships carry? Each vessel carries 50 charges for normal tactical use. Perfect. Order all ships to attach their antimatter charges to small drones. Program the drones to ram enemy vessels at maximum speed. Worker Prime's compound eyes widened. That is suicide bombing. We do not practice such tactics. You do now. This is war, not our class. Across the battle zone, Zenka ships began launching thousands of small drones. Each drone carried an antimatter charge and flew directly at the nearest Quartz Federation ship. The crystal formations tried to maintain their elegant patterns while under attack. Human Captain Black, Worker Prime said, the Quartz Federation is requesting communication. Put them through. A beam made of living crystal appeared on screen. When it spoke, its voice sounded like music. Zenka forces, what is the meaning of this chaotic attack? You are violating all accepted standards of civilized warfare. Captain Black stepped forward. This is Captain Black representing the Zenka fleet. We are no longer fighting by your rules. Your rules? You are not Zenka. What species are you? Human. The crystal being's glow dimmed. Human, we have heard stories. Are you the species that destroyed the Vrak fleet in 17 minutes? That was one of our ships. Yes, we ... We were not prepared for human tactics. Our formations are designed for traditional galactic warfare. Then you have 2 choices. Captain Black said, adapt to human tactics or surrender. The crystal being flickered nervously. "How much time do you give us to decide?" Captain Black looked at his watch. "You have had a century to win this war. I am giving you 5 minutes. To end it." The transmission went silent. On the tactical display, the Quartz Federation ships had stopped their advance. Some were trying to reform into defensive positions. Others were moving away from the battle zone. "Worker Prime," Captain Black said. "How many enemy ships have been destroyed or disabled in the last hour?" Worker Prime checked his sensors. 43 destroyed, 31 disabled, and 57 retreating. "In 1 hour, you accomplished more than you did in 47 days. But our tactics were chaotic, disorganized, ugly." Captain Black smiled, "But effective." "Worker Prime, war is not supposed to be pretty. It is supposed to be over." A new transmission came through from the Quartz Federation. The crystal being appeared again, but its glow was much dimmer. "Human Commander, the Quartz Federation requests immediate ceasefire. We are prepared to discuss territorial agreements." Finally, Captain Black said, "Worker Prime, contact the Galactic Council mediation team. Tell them they have a peace treaty." "To right. The Council mediators will be pleased," Worker Prime said. "They have been trying to arrange peace talks for decades. Now they can arrange them in days instead of decades." Later that day, Captain Black sent his report to Admiral Lee. On Earth, the Zenka Quartz Federation War was officially over. A century-long conflict resolved in 6 hours of human-style warfare, the report reached Admiral Lee as he was meeting with representatives from 12 different species. All of them wanted human military advisors for their own conflicts. "Admiral Lee," said a delegate from the Peaceful Traders Union, "we have heard about the Zenka victory. Is it true that humans ended a 100-year war in 1 day?" 6 hours, actually," Admiral Lee said. "Incredible. We have a situation with space pirates. In the Outer Rim, the Galactic Council patrol ships have been chasing them for 3 years with no success. What do you want us to do about it? Stop them, quickly." Admiral Lee looked around the room at all the hopeful faces. Each species had problems they could not solve with traditional methods. Each one was willing to try human solutions. "Ladies, gentlemen, and various alien life forms," Admiral Lee said, "I think we are going to be very busy." Commander Amy Gold leaned over to whisper in his ear, "Sir, the Galactic Council is requesting an emergency meeting. They want to discuss the regulation of human me." 5 years had passed since Captain Jake Miller destroyed the Vrak fleet in 17 minutes. The galaxy was a very different place now. Wars that had lasted centuries were ending in days. Pirates who had terrorized trade routes for decades disappeared overnight. Species that had never known peace were learning to live without fear. In the Golden Palace on Hegemony Prime, Overlord Prime stood before a massive display showing the galaxy. Red dots marked conflicts that were ending too quickly. Green dots showed trade routes that were safer than ever. Blue dots indicated species that had requested human military advisors. There were far too many blue dots. Overlord Prime was ancient, even by the standards of his species. He had ruled the Hegemony Empire for over 1,000 years. His empire controlled the galaxy's core worlds and the most important trade routes. For centuries, other species had paid tribute to the hegemony for protection and stability. Now, that stability was being threatened by a young species that did not understand how things were supposed to work. "Report," Overlord Prime commanded. General Vorthek, his military commander, stepped forward. "My lord, the situation continues to deteriorate. In the past month alone, humans have ended 4 major conflicts. The border wars in the Spiral Arm lasted 300 years until humans intervened. They resolved it in 8 hours. 8 hours, Overlord Prime repeated. And what methods did they use? They convinced both sides that fighting over empty space was stupid when there were unexplored systems nearby. Then they offered to help both species find new planets to colonize. Overlord Prime's eyes glowed with anger. They solved a territorial dispute by suggesting there was enough space for everyone. Yes, my lord, and it worked. Of course it worked. But it also destroyed 3 centuries of profitable conflict management. The hegemony made billions in credit selling weapons to both sides. Admiral Zorix, the fleet commander, spoke next. My lord, the humans are also changing how species view military strength. The old ways of formal battle are being abandoned. Ship designs are becoming more practical and less impressive. Explain. The beautiful formations that have defined galactic warfare for millennia are being replaced by what humans call effective tactics. Species are building smaller, faster ships instead of impressive dreadnoughts. They are using surprise attacks instead of honorable challenges. Overlord Prime walked to his throne and sat down heavily. The throne was carved from a single crystal and had taken master craftsmen 50 years to complete. Everything in his empire was built to last, to impress, to show the power of civilization. How many species have formally requested human military assistance? He asked. 47, my lord. And that number grows every week. And how many conflicts have humans resolved in the past 5 years? 132, my lord. Overlord Prime was quiet for a long moment. In 1,000 years of rule, he had overseen countless wars. Some had lasted decades. Some had continued for centuries. War was profitable. War was controllable. War kept species busy and depended on the hegemony for stability. Now humans were ending wars instead of managing them. Summon the Earth delegation, Overlord Prime commanded. It is time to remind this young species of their place in the galactic order. 1 week later, President Mary Collins sat in her office on Earth, reading the message that had just arrived. From Hegemony Prime, she was a small woman with gray hair and sharp eyes. She had been Earth's president for 3 years. And in that time she had watched humanity become the galaxy's most requested problem-solvers. The message from Overlord Prime was polite but firm. Earth was to cease all military advisory activities. Immediately. Human ships were to withdraw from all conflict zones. Earth would submit to hegemony authority and follow established galactic protocols. The consequences for refusing were clearly stated. The hegemony's vast fleet would enforce compliance. President Collins pressed a button on her desk. Get me Fleet Admiral Steve Park and Ambassador Carl White. Emergency meeting in 10 minutes. Fleet Admiral Park arrived first. He was a big man with a scarred face and calm demeanor. Ambassador White came in right behind him. White was younger, with blonde hair and an easy smile that hid a sharp mind. Madam President, Admiral Park said as he sat down, I assume this is about the hegemony ultimatum. It is. Steve, what are we looking at militarily? Bad odds, Admiral Park said honestly. The hegemony has the largest fleet in the galaxy. Thousands of ships, many of them bigger than anything we have built. Their technology is old but proven. In a straight fight, they would crush us. And in a crooked fight? President Collins asked. Admiral Park smiled. Well, that depends on how crooked we are willing to get. Ambassador White leaned forward. Madam President, I think there might be a third option. Something that avoids a direct military confrontation, but still sends the right message. I am listening. The hegemony rules through fear and respect for their power. What if we demonstrated that human problem-solving extends beyond military conflicts? President Collins looked confused. Carl, speak plainly. The hegemony expects U.S. to either submit or fight their fleet in space. What if we do neither? What if we solve the problem of the hegemony itself? Admiral Park raised an eyebrow. You want to apply human military doctrine to the hegemony empire. Why not? They are a problem. We solve problems. President Collins thought about this. What exactly are you suggesting? The hegemony maintains power by controlling information and keeping other species dependent on them. What if we remove their ability to do that? How? Ambassador White smiled. By giving the entire galaxy a demonstration of human problem-solving. That is so impressive, so complete, that no one will ever doubt human capabilities again. Admiral Park looked interested. Carl, what do you have in mind? We let the hegemony fleet come to Earth. We let them think they are about to win an easy victory. Then we show them what humans do to bullies on a planetary scale. President Collins was quiet for a moment. Steve, is what Carl is suggesting even possible? Madam President, we evacuated Luna City for expansion work 6 months ago. The moon is completely empty of people. And we have been testing new fusion drive technology. Very powerful fusion drives. President Collins began to understand. Steve, are you telling me we can turn our moon into a weapon? I am telling you we can turn our moon into the biggest kinetic projectile in human history. 3 weeks later, the hegemony fleet arrived at Earth. It was the largest military force ever assembled in one place. 5,000 ships of every size and class, massive dreadnoughts that could destroy planets, fast cruisers that could chase down any fleeing vessel, support ships that could maintain the fleet for years. Overlord Prime commanded the fleet from his flagship, a vessel so large it had its own gravity. As they approached Earth's solar system, he expected to see human ships fleeing in panic. Instead, he saw something that confused him. Earth's space was empty. No defensive fleets. No orbital weapons platforms. No sign of military preparation. At all, General Vorthok, Overlord Prime said. Where are the human defenses? My lord, our sensors detect no significant military presence. A few small ships near their outer planets, but nothing that could challenge our fleet. This makes no sense. Humans do not surrender easily. Perhaps they realize the futility of resistance, my lord. As the hegemony fleet moved deeper into the solar system, they received a transmission from Earth. President Collins appeared on screen, standing in what looked like an empty office. Overlord Prime, she said, welcome to the Sol System. I am President Collins of Earth. President Collins, I trust you have received our ultimatum. Are you prepared to surrender? No, Overlord Prime. We are prepared to teach you something about human problem-solving. Overlord Prime looked around his bridge. His officers seemed confused by the humans' calm manner. President Collins, you are outnumbered 5,000 to 1. Your planet has no defenses. What could you possibly teach us? We can teach you what happens when you threaten our home. The transmission ended. Overlord Prime stared at the blank screen. My lord, Admiral Zorik said, the humans appear to have evacuated their planet. Our sensors show massive population movement to orbital stations and nearby planets. They abandoned their homeworld? It appears so, my lord. Overlord Prime felt a chill run through him. In his 1,000 years of conquest, he had seen many species fight desperately to defend their homeworlds. He had never seen a species abandon their planet before a battle. Admiral Zorix, why would humans evacuate their planet? I do not know, my lord. A new transmission came from Earth. This time it was Fleet Admiral Park. Overlord Prime, this is Admiral Park of Earth Defense Command. You came to our home uninvited. You threatened our people. You demanded our submission. This is what we do. To uninvited guests, the screen went dark. For a moment, nothing happened. Then every sensor on the hegemony flagship screamed alarms. Report, Overlord Prime shouted. My lord, the sensor operator said in a shaking voice. The human moon ... it is moving. On the main display, Earth's moon was accelerating toward the hegemony fleet. Massive fusion engines, hidden on the moon's far side, were pushing the satellite out of its orbit. The moon was not just moving. It was aimed directly at the center of the hegemony formation. Evasive action, Overlord Prime commanded. My lord, the fleet is too